Welcome to HomeFront SitRep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront SitRep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Still in the fight, different battlefield, same damn life. No spotlight shining on the ones who serve, just great sacrifice and a whole lot of nerve. From small town shops to a helping hand, we're lifting each other, yeah, that's the plan. No red tape, no filter, no disguise, just truth in the fire behind our eyes. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the scars we carry to the lives we reveal, from the weight of silence to the strength of will. Non-profits grinding, boots on the street, no headlines chasing, just mission complete. Veteran alone, still chasing the dream. From a mic to a message, we're building a team. Creators and fighters, yeah, we all belong. Turn the pain into purpose, turn the hurt into song. No politics, no games, no divide. Just warriors standing side by side. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. We don't forget, we don't walk away. We carry each other through every day. From combat boots to a boss to a seat, still standing tall, still hard to defeat. Real stories, real impact, real people. This ain't just a podcast. This is a movement. This is HomeFront SitRep, loud and clear, for the ones still fighting year after year. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. Yeah, we rise, we grind, no regrets. Welcome to HomeFront SitRep.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of HomeFront SitRep. How is everybody doing? Here, I'm going to go full screen. I don't get to go full screen very often. Gunny, man, I tell you what, I am super jealous of Gunny at the present moment in time. I don't know if you follow Gunny on Facebook or any of the social media platforms that he's on, but let me tell you, this fella is over in Normandy, France, the Netherlands, in Germany, and a few other places. And being a Marine, he was able to go over to Devil Dog Fountain in Bellawood. He was able to raise the Marine Corps flag over Bellawood, which was super cool. There's a video of him doing that. He got to drink from Devil Dog Fountain. He got to raise the American flag over the American cemeteries over there. I'm super jealous of the guy right now because he's over there and I'm not. hopefully next year, we'll take another trip and we get to go over there and we'll be doing a podcast live from there. I think that would be super cool, even though it's 1 o'clock their time, I guess, roughly, their time. And it kind of leads into my guest because tonight we got a guest coming on and she's her husband is stationed abroad. She's a military spouse. So what's cool about that is we get to hear the other side of the spectrum coming from a military spouse. We talk about it here all the time on Homefront SitRep is, when you serve in the military, people don't think about the spouse. They don't think about the children. And we talk about that all the time here on SitRep. So that's what we're blessed to have Miss Allison come on here in just a few minutes and talk about why that matters and everything that, the spouse and children go through. If you hear my dogs, I'm sorry. They're going crazy for some reason, and I don't know why. Hopefully you don't hear them, but if you do, um, so Allison, she's got her website, AllisonBurton.co. So you can go there, and I'll throw that in a link in chat here in just a few minutes. Let me go live on TikTok before I forget. Um, why this is on her website, this is what it says, why this exists. We are expected to be strong, to hold everything together, to adapt, adjust, push through, and when it gets heavy, they call it resilience and keep going. But some of what we're carrying was never meant to be normal. That's so true. I mean, it's so true. I'm blessed. When I was in the military, well, I say blessed. I got married very young when I was in the military. We dated for a year and a half. That year and a half that we were dating, I was there maybe 4 months of that because of my deployments and everything. So we got married October of '99. I went to California, came back, caught her cheating on me. So I was very blessed to get out of that relationship early in life. And then I didn't remarry until after military service. And my wife now said back then that we would not be together if I stayed in the military. So my plan was to do 20 years. What's going on, buddy? How are you, sir? Thanks for coming in. So I didn't go back in the military. And I think the good Lord had a plan for that. Because I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I had stayed in the military. I wouldn't have two beautiful daughters that both are graduated high school. One's a sophomore, junior in college. The other one will be a freshman this upcoming semester when they start back. Um, so, having a spouse and children while you're in the military, like I said, it's hard for them because as a spouse of a military service member who's deployed, especially to undisclosed locations, it's always in your brain. Are they coming back home? Are they going to come back home? And if the kids are old enough, they think, oh, is daddy coming home or is mom coming home? So it's people don't realize how they serve, whether they're uh, PCS with you overseas, wherever you're at. So if you're in Okinawa and your family gets to come with you, or you're in Germany or wherever you're located at, it's tough on the family aspect of things too. So, uh, and a lot of people don't realize, that the family serves too. And there's just so many things that goes on in the background. And that's kind of why, Allison, when she reached out, or actually, I think Marie connected me and Allison. I think that's how we got connected. And it just made sense to have her on the show to talk about what she's doing. So I'm super excited. And I will tell you, so my week has been amazing. Work has been stressful because it's hot as all get out here in Kentucky. What's going on over on TikTok? Matt with the Life of Liberty show and Mike with Echo Whiskey 0311. How are you guys over on TikTok and everybody else that's over there on TikTok? Yeah, so I'm super excited about our guest. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about before we bring her up? Like I said, Gunny, I'm jealous of Gunny. He's overseas right now. He's doing the best. You're not there, okay. He's doing his best life overseas right now. What's going on, Lloyd Wilson? I didn't see you sneak in. Sorry, TikTok is going crazy over here too, so I got to pay attention to both. But anyway, you know what? Let's bring Allison on up to the stage. Let me get this set up here. Miss Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to say thank you for one staying up past your bedtime because it's 1 o'clock in the morning your time to come hang out with me on this Sunday night here on HomeFront SitRep. If you don't mind, do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront SitRep if you don't mind.
Oh, goodness. So I am, as you said, a military spouse. My husband has served roughly 19 years in the Army. Obviously, I don't know the exact months and days. He may know, but it's irrelevant at this moment. We've been together 20 years, which is, I feel like, a really long time. I feel like we're approaching the point where I've been with him longer than I've been without him. We have 2 kids. Our son is 14 and our daughter is 11. We are currently in Germany. We live in Ansbach right now currently, where he just took battalion command, which is
Nice.
a huge honor. Very proud of him. It is a very busy position for us. And he is no longer in Germany. He is now forward in an undisclosed location. So yeah, we are living the life in this heat wave with no air conditioning, which is terrible. However, it's maybe down to 70 degrees at 1 a.m. now. So I do have the door open and the fan going. So hopefully you can't see it. But yeah, I've been that over-involved spouse. I know there's 2 tiers of military spouses. Typically, it's some that know absolutely nothing. They're like, my husband's in the Army, or my husband's in the Marine, or my husband's in the Air Force. And they're like, me, like, that's it. And then there's me. I know way too much about what he does.
Yeah.
Because I've always been curious and I wanted to be able to hold a conversation about it. But yeah, I am the over-involved, over-functioning wife.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I know when we were in the military, or when I was in the Marines, we had if we were deployed, we had key wives. So the battalion commander would be the head key wife, and then you got your XO's wife and first sergeant's wife and all of that. And then they would take care of the regular enlisted wives and make sure that they knew all the information that they could give out. Is that something that you're involved with as a battalion commander's wife?
Yes. So in the Army world, it's SFRG, that is Soldier Family Readiness Group. So I am the senior advisor, which makes me feel old, because some of these ladies that I'm advising, which they don't need advising. However, I enjoy talking to them. They're great people. They're in their 20s. And I'm like, oh, I was you when we got married. Like,
Yeah.
This is wild. But yes, I am very much involved. I like to keep my pulse on the spouses. How are they doing? Do they need anything? I tell absolutely everyone, and I'll probably say it multiple times while I'm here tonight, is my inbox is always open. I don't care if I know you personally or not. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, if there's a mental health crisis, whatever those things are, I'm always open to having those conversations. Very much community driven.
Heck yeah. So I like I said, I knew back when I was in that, we had our key wives, and they really took care of the wives that were left behind. And I had she's down in Florida. What's her name? Her husband's a Marine, 35 years. Can't even think of her name. The Monica Sanford. She was a key wife. And back when we were when I was in, her husband was the battalion commander, but not my unit. So the things that they did to make sure that the spouse back home, because this is something I kind of hit on just a minute ago, the stressors that you ladies are under, being the spouse of somebody who's deployed, it's a whole different form of PTS, because now you're struggling with the anxiety. Oh, is my husband coming home? And I will tell you, there's a lot of females out there that can't handle that stress. They think they can handle that stress, but they can't. And I'm not saying that males can, because there's males out there that are the same way. Their wife is deployed, and they're like, "Oh, is my wife coming home?" Now she's in a combat role as a female, and they're like, "Oh, is my wife coming home?" So talk about that a little bit, because I know that's kind of something that you talk about, with everything that you got going on.
Yeah, it's not a life for everyone. And I feel odd saying that out loud, because, I'm not out for sympathy. I'm not out for, any kind of handout, because that's not how I roll. However, being a decent human being and understand there should be empathy, that's a different story. My husband and I have dealt with multiple deployments. I mean, he's been in almost 20 years. So this is not our first rodeo. However, we just did this less than a year ago. He served 6 months in Kuwait on a YS tasker. And then he came home, and we moved to Germany, and he's now gone. So this was not on our 2026 bingo card, if you will.
Yeah.
But dealing with deployments is not easy. It doesn't get easier. Our children are old enough now that they know what's going on. They understand what he's doing, the most that a 14, 11-year-old can. They obviously, he doesn't tell us where he is because he can't, and that's fine. But when we talk, he's safe, and that's important. I try really hard not to dwell on the fact that we have no idea when he's coming home.
Yeah.
So this one is definitely a new level unlocked for us, because when we knew it was only 6 months in Kuwait, you're like, oh, we can put the calendar up and we can count down the days and, all the
Right.
things. This one's like, do I count up or do I count down? Because
this could be one of those year-long deployments. You don't know. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like I in the Marines, we 6 months deployment was our normal. Now I think they have extended that, like for combat operations, where I think it's like 8-9 months, I think. But still not as long as the Army deployments. My nephew is in the Army. He was National Guard at one point, but now he's active duty, and he could be called up any minute to be deployed. And it's just like, that's part of being tactical readiness. You got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. You always got to have your gear packed and ready to go. And being a battalion commander, I think that would kind of heighten a little bit, because I'm trying to word this appropriately so TikTok doesn't ban me. And being a high-ranking officer in the military always puts a target on your back. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
Depending on where you're at and what unit you're with and stuff like that. But being a high-ranking officer definitely puts that target on their back. So that's, in today's modern society, everybody has this little device here. They have some form of communication where they can reach out to you, say, hey, I'm good to go, and then whether it's a 2-minute call or one, 30-second call, hey babe, I'm good to go, I'll call you later, click, so does that help ease the anxiety a little bit, that he's able to communicate as much as he can?
Yes, it does, 100%. And I'm going to age myself when I tell you this story, because when I was pregnant with our son, Skype was the only thing available. And right, which they literally just shut down like a couple of years ago, if even that long ago. So when he was deployed, so my husband decided that it was a good idea to get me pregnant and deploy twice. So I know you weren't ready for that.
I was not.
It's okay. So it was fun in the first several years of our marriage. But anyway, at that point during that deployment, he was in Afghanistan, and it was a Skype. We Skyped one time a week. And as long as I got an email from him, I was good. I was like, I understand. Like he would go to the communications tent and, he would sit there with the big headphones and wait for a computer because that was the only way to have communication. So now knowing that I can use Signal, which is protected, and even if he's stuck in meetings or he's stuck doing whatever in the world he's doing, he can, be like, good night, I love you, whatever. And that it lets me know that he's okay. Sadly, we can't have Life 360 at this moment because
right.
Protection. But yes, it definitely helps. It's hard. It's really hard because the kids want to hear from him. But we try really hard, and I try really hard to be like, you have to give him grace. Like he's doing a lot right now. He's in charge of 500 something. I don't even know the full number. He probably does. Soldiers' lives, like he needs to be focused, he needs to be in it. So a text message is going to have to suffice for today.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to date myself because I'm probably a little bit older than you. So I was in from 97 to 01. And then I got out and then recalled, and I was in from 02 to 04. So I'm probably a little bit older than you. We didn't even have cell phones when I first joined, right? No cell phones at all. Like they might have been a thing, but they were not as big. What's up, CIA Bob? How are you, sir? I don't know if you can see the comments or not.
I can, yes.
Okay. So when I was in, we didn't have those devices. We had to go, like we wanted to make a phone call back home. We had to go get a phone card, find a pay phone, and then I got you. We're all babies.
I appreciate that.
So, and that's how we had to call back home. I know when I was deployed several times to Okinawa and South Korea and Greece, they had cell phones. Like when you pulled into port, they had cell phones that you can rent to call back home back then. And it was an astronomical price to rent these cell phones, but you still had to use a phone card. And I'm glad that, technology has gone the way it has gone, because I think it does make that communication more key. Like I was able to do a podcast episode with my nephew, or not my nephew, one of my cousins that was deployed to Kuwait with 5 of his guys. And we got to talk to him while, do an episode. Now, granted, over there, the Wi-Fi was not very great. It was like Temu Wi-Fi, maybe even Wish Wi-Fi, right? So, it was trying to gather what they were saying through the like that. And it was just like, but like you said, you mentioned Signal. I didn't find out about Signal until a year ago, I guess. And for it to be encrypted the way that it is, that makes it so much easier for guys who are deployed into undisclosed locations to reach out to loved ones. So I think that's super cool.
I will say, just so people don't get frustrated, he doesn't tell me anything that he's not supposed to tell me. So I'm not getting secrets. I'm not getting any information. He's very much tight-lipped on what he has to be. So yes, we get to communicate, but there's nothing shared.
And you've been married long enough and in the military with him that what questions you can and can't ask.
Yes.
So, there's because now if you were freshly married and he was a battalion commander and you'd be asking all kinds of questions, he'd be like, babe, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. So it's just one of those things. So look, I didn't have children when I was in the military. You have 2 children as a spouse and your husband deploys quite a bit. What's it like raising children in this environment?
It's really freaking hard. I don't know if I can cuss on your podcast. So
just keep it to a minimum.
It's good. It's really hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anyone, because for the spouses that may see this or watching this now, or the veterans that may be watching this, like, please understand that your spouse that stayed back with your children is doing just as much work as you are when you are forward, wherever you are. It's not easy at all. I try really hard to keep the mindset that I'm Switzerland, if you will. I have my husband on one side, and I have to be supportive of his mission, even though I absolutely hate it right now because he's not home and we're in a temporary home, and everything is temporary right now. And we will eventually move into our forever 2-year home. God only knows if we'll stay longer than that. But then I have my children on the other side, and I have to be able to teach them how to process their emotions and how to understand what's going on. And things are bigger than they are. They don't understand exactly what dad does yet because they're still pretty young. But having to deal with their emotions and his lack of emotions most of the time, love him, but he's a robot and he's trained to be that way. But then I have to deal with my own emotions. And typically, usually I'm doing that behind a closed door in the shower when my kids are in bed, or, all of those things. So it's definitely difficult to raise children in this environment. However, there are positives. Our children are very much cultured. I mean, we've traveled around Europe. We were here in 2020 to 2022 here in Ansbach during the pandemic, sadly, but they have seen many, many countries at their young ages. They understand that change is okay. They understand that we will get through it as long as we're together. So I appreciate that they understand how to link arms with each other and be like, we're going to do this. It sucks, but we're still going to do it. There are definitely positives, but the negatives tend to outweigh it just because it's always.
I can only imagine, here you have teenagers or preteen. I think you said one of them was 11.
Yeah, one's a teen, one's a preteen. Yeah.
So you got one that's 11, and then the other one's who's 14. So you're dealing with the teenage years anyway. I said, my daughters, I got one at 17, one that's 19. And I will tell you, both daughters think they know everything. And I've told them time after time, I was like, look, dad wrote that book, threw that book away and rewrote it. And they still don't believe me. And I catch them and stuff all the time. And I'm like, bro, so prime example, my daughter, the one that's in college right now at EKU, she was supposed to come home early on a Friday night from college for the weekend because she had to work. She goes, well, at first it was like, well, I want to hang out with Ken and I'll come home tomorrow, which was her boyfriend she met at college. And I was like, babe, no, you got to come home now because the weather's going to be bad, stuff like that. You need to come now. And then she text messages back and she's like, hey, Dad, my Spanish professor just sent an email that we have to be in class tomorrow. And I was like, oh, really? Send me that email, forward that email to me. And then she texted me back. She goes, no, Dad, I was lying. I just don't want to come home. I'm like, babe, I wrote that book. I threw it away and I rewrote it, and you have to explain that to them. But I can only imagine the heightened emotions, especially if you're deployed abroad, no matter where you're at in the European countries. I mean, being in the European countries itself, especially with everything that's going on in the world today, I can only imagine, the threat levels that are, there. And then your kids, being in a foreign country and dad's not there and it's just mom that's holding down the fort. And I use that word, fort, because that's what Army bases are. And, holding down the fort and the struggles that you face just being in the teenage years and preteen, because I can only imagine what that's like.
Not easy. It's not easy. My 11-year-old daughter should be 21 at this point because I am raising myself, which my dad absolutely loves to laugh at. And it's very difficult to discipline the me out of her. However, I know that she's not going to take any shit when she's older, which I appreciate. And I do my very best to build her up to be a confident lady, and know, what she wants and what she doesn't want. My son is your typical firstborn. He doesn't want to make anybody upset. He's very much that way. It is a challenge, but I will say, to my husband's credit, even though we're not together physically, he still very much backs me up whenever there's an issue. I text him, I'm like, you need to have a conversation with this child before I kick them out the house and lock the door, because right now they're tippy-tapping on my last nerve. So yes, it is difficult. But thankfully he is my teammate, even when he's away. But, you mentioned we are holding down the fort. And I will tell you, in the book that I'm writing, I mentioned that we're not just holding down the fort. Military spouses are the fort.
Yeah.
Because the readiness and the ability to deploy and the ability to do anything starts at home. Again, 100% starts at home.
Yeah, because if the military member, whether male or female, doesn't have that family support at home, then it's going to be lacking when they're deployed abroad and the family's back home. For the simple fact that in their mind, if you're upset and says, "Well, babe, I don't want you to go," blah blah blah, and you're in tears and you're doing this, your spouse will remember that, and their brain's not going to be 100% on mission. So you definitely are correct when you say you are the spouse is the fort, the children is the fort. So I love that.
I will challenge you on one thing.
Yes,
because I learned this. Oh, I see. I just met Rich. Hello.
Rich is my brother from another mother.
I love it. So I've learned something from a therapist that I was seeing to deal with this lifestyle and other things that are not military related. And men are very good compartmentalizers. Very, very, very good at that. And it's taken me almost 20 years to understand that it's okay if I verbal vomit at my husband, and he needs to understand that this has been absolute chaos today. For instance, today our refrigerator wasn't working and it's 96 degrees and we don't have air conditioning. So that was great. And the emergency line for the maintenance people doesn't work. It's an S show. It really is.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what you put me through. And he was like, ouch. And I was like, tell me I'm wrong. Because you did this. But it is okay to share those things with your soldier. I don't care if you're male or female, it doesn't matter, because yes, they need to be focused on their mission and their safety, but also you deserve to tell them what's going on. You deserve to have that safe space because you are a team, for better or for worse. You're supposed to be. And they don't need the polished version of you. So that is something that I try really hard to let spouses know, that our generation especially, we're conditioned. Don't tell him any bad things. Don't tell him that the baby is not sleeping. Don't tell him that the dog threw up on the carpet and you can't get the stain out. Like, don't tell him any of those things. But now I'm like, listen, this is what had happened today. I'm going to need 30 seconds and I'm going to go through it real fast, and you can forget it in the next 90 seconds.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I guess what I was meaning by not like, I was talking more of the, well, I don't want you to go, that whole, that, do the word vomit of what happened during your day, because that, for one, that helps the veteran or military service member stay connected to the family dynamic. Because I will tell you, when you're deployed and you have no way to contact your spouse. So I will guarantee you sometime during this deployment, he's probably going to go dark on you.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not going to have that daily communication with you. And that right there in itself, if you tell him about your day every day and you say, well, this is what kid 1 did, this is what kid 2 did, then you tell him, oh, the refrigerator went out, our air conditioner's out, and you're telling him all of this stuff, that keeps the service member connected, whether you're male, female, it keeps them connected to that family unit. And it just, for one, it helps build that bond. It helps strengthens that bond. And then you made a point about males being able to compartmentalize a little bit easier. I will tell you, my current wife, I've been out since 2004. I still do that today. Me and her have been together for 24 years, married for 20, we'll be 21, married for 21 this November, but I still compartmentalized. She's what I call a worry wart. She worries about everything. And I worry about it, but I internalize and I keep it inside because that's who I am. Right.
Yep.
I don't like asking for help. It takes me a lot. It takes me a lot to ask for help, whether it's any kind of help, mental health help. Just we're changing the brakes in my daughter's car, and she got a 2012 Nissan Altima. I know how to work on cars. but I'm stupid busy. And I'm like, hey, I need to ask for help. And so
Mhm.
I reached out, and luckily there's some teenage boys that we consider family, even though they're not blood related, but we consider family. They were able to come and help me out. I'm not as spry as I used to be, and working on, getting up and getting down. Um, it just made it easier, but I still had to gather the strength to say, hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
And so I'm lucky in that aspect. So,
Yeah, from a spouse point of view, I definitely I always encourage spouses, if you need to, mind you, this is not something we can do here in Germany because they don't do this. But having groceries delivered, if you, whatever day it is, who cares? If you need to pay somebody once a month to clean your house because you just can't do it, that's okay. Like, you're absolutely not failing because you choose to outsource those things. As I've learned, a lot of things are glass balls and a lot of things are
mhm.
rubber balls. Your glass balls are your children. Please don't let those drop.
Right, right.
Please keep them happy and healthy and safe and fed and all the things. But like doing laundry 7 days a week, absolutely not. Like, it's okay to ask for help. And that is very admirable in many situations because you're like, guess what? I can't do it today. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Doesn't make you less of a human. Doesn't make you less of a spouse. It just means you're normal, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Sometimes you just need to take that mental health day,
Mhm.
and not clean the house and not worry about the bills and not worry about things that are going on at that moment in time. Because I will tell you, I tell my wife all the time, look, babe, the good Lord, it's in his hand. If it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen, right? And I believe that wholeheartedly. He has a hand in everything that we do in our daily life, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, babe, don't worry about it today. If it's not due for another couple weeks, take time and not worry about it. Get your
Yeah.
mind right, and everything will work out the way it's supposed to work out. And a lot of times she will never tell me this, but I am right. It always works out, right? She'll never tell
Don't
me.
don't tell her, and you don't force her to say that.
No, no, no. She makes me say it to her all the time, and
Of
I'm
course
like,
she does.
e
Yeah.
every now and then she'll say, "Babe, you were right." Every now and then, but it's
My husband
very
makes me repeat it. He makes me say it multiple times. I'm like,
oh, yeah? She says it once, that's it. Uh, and my daughter said it a couple times. Both my daughters have said it a couple times. "Dad, you were right." And I'm waiting for that switch in their brains to go off where they come to mom and dad, say, hey, mom, dad, you guys were right, we should have
yeah,
listened earlier.
yeah.
Eventually that will come, right? Eventually that'll come. Hopefully it'll come. um we'll see. We'll see. So let's talk about your upcoming book, called Silent Ranks, Loud Burdens.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What is this book about?
Well, about a little over a year ago, my husband was deployed. I was working full time, and I had two children in competitive sports. And I decided, why don't we start writing a book? Because why not now? This book, mind you, we're in the final editing stages, which is like, I never thought I would get here. Um, it's about the real, authentic, unhinged version of military spouse life. So it is not your homecoming porn. It is not the excitement because your husband got promoted. Those things are great, grand, and wonderful. But this is talking about the resentment that you feel towards your spouse sometimes. This is talking about the loneliness that comes with military spouse life, or how isolated we are. This is unemployment and underemployment. It's financial stress. It's childcare issues. It's absolutely all of the major things that we as spouses deal with, but we're not allowed to talk about, or we feel like we can't talk about out loud in public. I am saying those things out loud and unapologetically. And that is, I don't know how many pages it is at this point. It doesn't matter. But it's hopefully going to allow military spouses to feel seen and validated. And that is the goal, along with getting a seat at the table where decisions are being made for spouses and families, because there's not a military spouse at that table. You have men and women in Congress or Senate or wherever, and they are making decisions for people, and they've never lived in our houses. They've never walked a day in our shoes. So that is 100% what this is for.
So that brings up a lot of things, because one of the main reasons I got out the first time in 2001 was because of the way the military was going. It was going more political than what it's supposed to be, right? And I'm for somebody to, and that this even goes into corporate jobs. For somebody who sits behind a desk that's never done my job, never been in the military, to tell me how to do my job or how to do any job in the military, it blows my mind. Like, how can they have so much control over what our service members are doing? It blows my mind.
Yeah, that's fair. And one thing I wish I could, I don't know who might see this. And for those of you who make decisions that I'm speaking of, and you are of some sort of power that I don't know your name at this point, ask military families what they need and actually listen to understand.
Yeah.
Because there are too many people that are like, we already know you have free healthcare, you have free housing, you have this, you have that. And it's absolute nonsense. And it's a lot of just dumb assumptions that are coming from our government situation. I'm not getting political. It doesn't matter. But those are the people that make the decisions that affect our lives, and whether or not we military service members and families are pawns in their game. That is too often we are pawns, and it has to stop. Yeah. These are our lives that you're affecting. You go and you shut down the government for 60 something days. What the hell are you doing? Because you're making our families suffer. Yes. And they either don't care or they're not aware. I'm going to lean toward they don't care, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because here's the thing: they shut down the government. They still get paid, but our military service members and their families don't get paid.
Yep, 100%.
So that's always baffled me, how they can shut down the government and our service members don't get paid. And what they don't realize is sometimes, in a lot of cases, especially service members who are deployed abroad and they got their family with them, the spouse typically doesn't work because they're taking care of the family. So the only paycheck you got coming in is the spouses, and if the service members, and if they're not getting paid, well, the family's not getting paid, so they can't buy groceries, they can't do this, can't do that. So CIA Bob had a question. He goes, how did his command respond, and did it need approval to be reviewed? I think he's talking about your book, writing your book. How did his command respond, and did it need to be approved before it could be out?
First of all, it's not out yet. Second of all, I say this with all respect because I absolutely love my husband and everyone that he reports to, but they don't get a say. They absolutely don't get a say. I did not sign on the dotted line. I did not raise my right hand. They have no control. Nothing in my book is defamatory. It is factual information backing up my opinions of things. So yeah, my husband is in 100% support. He understands. And actually I was joking about it today because I was telling him all the information about the refrigerator, and, he was feeling bad that he wasn't here to help me deal with it. And I was like, if only someone took the time to write about what it's like to be a military spouse. And he was like, I know, wouldn't that be cool? And I told him I would buy it for him. But yeah, no, they don't get a say. I'm 100% going to ruffle feathers, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I think what Bob is not understanding, in your book, you don't have anything that's OPSEC.
No.
And I think, so I think I think if you did, you'd have to get it approved through the channels. Right. But you're saying this coming from the military spouse point of view, and not from a service member. So correct. It
recounts many of my stories that I have dealt with in this lifestyle in 20 years. I talk about other people's stories that they have shared with me. Yes, there's nothing in that book that is OBSEC of any sort. Everything that is cited is Googleable, if that's even a word. I just made it one if it's not. So everything is, you can fact check me all you want. But yeah, it's going to be hopefully an eye-opening experience for people to read it.
So here's the thing. A lot of times what people don't understand is there's a lot of people out there in the world that want the military spouse to stay quiet, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to see the other side of that, right? They're like, oh, well, you got free health care, you got free housing, you got all of this, but they don't see behind the scenes of what goes on there, right? So everybody has that impression. Oh, well, you're a military spouse. Your husband's a battalion commander. You got it made. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't happen that way. Because I will tell you, I've been in telecommunications for 20 years now, and I get to go on Fort Knox, and I get to see the housing here at Fort Knox. And I will tell you, some of that housing that these guys live in, people in the poorest part of town live a better life than the people on base.
Yeah.
So I can only fathom. And like you said, your refrigerator went out, your AC's out, and you can't get a hold of base maintenance.
Oh, we don't have AC because it's Germany. So like they don't even have it. But yeah, that's just a normal thing. But yes, we have been conditioned to be quiet and compliant. And it's now Googleable. I love that. Can I trademark that word?
Yes, trademark it.
And yes, I see Bob's comment. There are spouses that carry their husband's rank. Yes, I fully understand that. I fully agree with you that there are those women that do that. I am not one of them. I don't give a damn if your husband is a private or your husband is a general or your wife is a private or your wife is a general. You put on the uniform. I don't. Therefore, in my brain, in my heart, you deserve all the respect that I can give you. And my children are the same because you're in uniform. Like, you deserve that respect. I do not care. I don't discount someone's experience because they live in a smaller house than I do. That's literally the only difference in us. My base housing is different size than theirs. That's it. We all have laundry that we haven't cleaned. We all have children that we just want to pop sometimes because they backtalk us. Like, we all deal with the same stuff. And it is wildly entertaining to me to be messaged from veterans and or political figures. And yes, I receive these messages and they're like, wow, how brave of you. And I'm like, it's not 1950, first of all.
Right.
And
right.
Like, it's time that someone said the things out loud because there are too many spouses that feel like they can't. We've been told that we can't, or we'll be labeled dramatic, or we'll be labeled a problem. I really don't care, because if I'm screaming from the mountaintop that there's mold growing down the wall of my bathroom, like, that's a problem. Like, that's not me being like, oh, my house isn't big enough. No, that's first world problems. But you have jet fuel in your water. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that deserve to be talked about. The mental health issues that military spouses deal with. It's a huge problem.
Oh yeah.
But nobody wants to take accountability, because if they take accountability, we might be right. And we're not just spouses at home in the kitchen.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you 100%. I had an aunt. My uncle was in the military. So step aunt. He was 25 years in the Army. And I will tell you, I seen the decline in his wife. She, when they first got married, she was happy-go-lucky. And then over the course of 10, 15 years, you could see her mental health just like fade away, right? Mm-hmm. And to the point where it became a struggle between them, because he was deploying all the time and stuff like of that nature. And she just got to the point where she decided to step out, and she ultimately she winded up committing suicide. And I hate to say that because of TikTok and everything else, but she took her own life because she thought that was going to be the best option for her at that time. And it's just, so people don't understand, and like I said, we've talked about it numerous times here on HomeFront SitRep, is the spouse and the children of the service member they serve too. You know,
Oh,
we as a nation, if you've never served in the military, we as a nation, we see that uniform and we think, oh, everything's good to go. But the military spouse is the one who lives the mission, because you're holding the home front down.
Yeah.
So.
I'm someone, I label myself as a mental health warrior. So I can definitely speak on that as a personal experience. Things got really hard for me a few years ago, you know, not only just with military life, but with personal life. Also, I unexpectedly lost my mother. My husband was in the middle of KD time. So he was working anywhere between 15 and 18 hours a day. And we were dealing with the pandemic. So there was a lot going on coming at me from every angle. So it's very difficult for a military spouse to be like, hey, I need help. Like, I absolutely need help. And I want people to understand, whether you're a spouse or not, you could be a veteran, you could be active duty, it doesn't matter. Like, it's okay to ask for help. This world is a better place with you in it. And I definitely understand that mental health is a big problem. And one thing that I wish for military spouses and service members in general is we could enable a global certification, if you will, to where no matter where you are, you could virtually meet with a therapist that you met in Texas or North Carolina or wherever you are, because we have this ability now. And there's no reason, if TRICARE covers a therapist in Texas, why they can't cover the therapist if you're now in Europe?
Right.
Like,
I mean, especially with telemed anyway.
Yeah.
You know, they should. TRICARE, do you have TRICARE? Is that what you have?
Yes.
So TRICARE should cover, it should.
Should.
Right. I said should, yeah. It should cover, you know, mental health. Because I will tell you, the ones that are on base, the mental health advocates that are on base, they can deal with like the military side of things, right? They can't deal with the spousal side of things. Yeah, they might have a degree in mental health, but I don't think they understand what a spouse goes through. You know what I'm saying? Or the children go through. And even now, like my therapist that I have, he's a son. His dad was a Marine, so he's the son of a Marine. When I go in there and I tell him things that's going on with me, he's like, well, I can't fully comprehend, but I can kind of sort of comprehend what you're going through. And I can imagine as a spouse, you know, going in to, you know, a therapy session, regardless of where you're at, whether your husband's still active duty or he's a veteran, and be like, well, this is kind of what I'm dealing with. You know, this is a long-standing PTS, because been married to my husband 20 years and he deployed all the time. And my kids and I were left alone, and we had to worry about him coming home, if he's coming home, or all the things that go along with being a military spouse, right? You know, the PCSs that you do every 2 years, you pick up and move to a new location. Your children have to pick up and move to a new school and meet new friends, depending on, you know, whether you're going from Fort Bragg to Fort Jackson to Germany or wherever your husband gets stationed. Especially being an officer, you never know where he's going next.
No. Yeah, the amount of time that I have spent explaining our culture to a therapist that isn't a military spouse or wasn't a military spouse, it's exhausting. And so if we could, and the lady that I absolutely owe so much to, she too is a military spouse. Her husband is retired and has been for a while now, but I didn't have to spend time saying, okay, this is how this works. And this is the dynamic with this. And this is how we have to do this at 90 seconds notice. But yeah, it definitely makes a difference when you have people that understand exactly what you're dealing with. And I don't know why it's difficult for healthcare providers to understand that would be great. Let's employ and let's cover these people that already know what's going on and they already understand. And maybe, just maybe, we can help our people within our own people.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause I think a lot of things, you kind of touched on it earlier. Like, here your husband is, he's doing all these deployments and stuff like that. And when he comes back and he's, compartmentalized everything that's gone on, that deployment, maybe he loses a soldier, maybe, he loses 3 or 4 soldiers under his command. People don't understand how that affects the brain. Yeah, he might be able to move on and push forward, but that's still stuck there in that compartment in the back of his head. That's kind of where you as a spouse, or anybody as a spouse, has to, you kind of have to be his therapist, his first line therapist, right? And a lot of people don't realize, well, I guess a lot of people do realize, but the spouse takes the brunt of everything that goes on, that comes out of that service member's brain. And I will tell you, I've been out of the military for a long time. I don't want to date myself. My wife and my kids, unfortunately, some of the trauma that I've had has resurfaced, and they've had to deal with that. And I've had to deal with, one, reliving that, and then 2, now saying, well, hey, how much did I damage my kids? How much did I damage my wife? So that's where you as a spouse has to come in and be that first line defense. One, you got to be a therapist for your husband. Then you have to be a linebacker to keep that away from your children, right?
Yes.
So the military spouse has to be super duper superwoman for sure, because that's what needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to my earlier statement. Like, we definitely have to be Switzerland. I ingest all of my husband's emotions, the ones that he's willing to share and can share, because there are things that we don't share. And willingly, we decided many years ago, before his first deployment, that he could lie to me. And before anybody gets up in arms of that doesn't mean what you think it means. It was basically, I don't need to know that there was some sort of strike today and you had to be in a bunker. I don't need to know that, because you are currently talking to me and you are currently safe. That's all I need to know about. I don't need to know about, any traveling that you did that may or may not have resulted in something of firing. I don't need to know that.
Right.
So my husband protects my mental space by not telling me those things. However, yes, I have to listen to him, and then I have to figure out how to regurgitate, or even if I'm just like, are you just verbal vomiting and you just want to bounce it off of me? Because, okay, try not to ingest it. And it's difficult. And I know, there is stuff I don't need to know. 100%. I am okay with that. He knows the thing, but also security clearances, that I don't need to know things. But he knows that I don't need to know a lot of things. And maybe when he retires, we will talk about those things. Maybe not. I don't really care. Because he's here. Well, he's not physically here. He is alive and well, and he is talking to me. But it's hard. It is. I appreciate that people as yourself can say, we have to do all the things and we have to be strong, because there are way too many people that think that we don't have a job and therefore we're just in the kitchen and we're just raising babies and it's all great, grand, and wonderful. And like, it's very archaic thinking. And it's very close-minded thinking, because we do so much to make sure that our soldiers are ready and willing and able to go into combat.
Yeah.
My husband would tell you that himself if he was here. Like, too many veterans that have messaged me as I've been on these platforms, and they're like, I could never have done it without my wife. Say it louder for those in the back, because 100%. I may not have a gun in my hand or one strapped to my leg, but I 100% get stuff done here in the home front so that he can be who he is and be a lieutenant colonel 20 years later. So yeah, it's something that a lot of people need to realize. They like to maybe it's not their intention, but there's a lot of invalidation going on. A lot of it. They're like, oh, but you've done it before. You got this. that doesn't mean it's not really freaking hard.
Oh yeah, the struggle is that's something you talk about is, having a career while your husband serves. A lot of, like you said, a lot of people say that a spouse should, if a husband's serving, the spouse should stay home, take care of the kids and do all of that. But you gotta have a career too, because one, if you're sitting around all day long doing nothing, your kids are in school, your mental health is going to suffer from that, right? And then now you're worrying about your own mental health, and then your husband is deployed or your wife is deployed, whoever, and you're freaking out because you don't know where they're at. You don't know if they're safe. You ain't heard from them in 18 hours because they're on a mission. Yeah. So you're freaking out over that aspect of it. All right, Bob, I will. So, your mental health matters as well. And then when you do finally get to talk to your spouse, he only gives you the details to let you know that he's safe. Mm-hmm. One, he's looking out for your mental health because he's saying, all right, he doesn't need to know about the bomb strike that landed 2 clicks from our hooch. She don't need to know that. Now, later on in life, like you said, once he gets out of the military, that's probably something that you and him would probably need to discuss, because one, if he starts talking about it as soon as he gets out, he doesn't have time to sit and dwell on it. And if the more he talks about it, the easier the nightmares and the tremors and everything else that goes on with the PTSD that he's going to have. I'm going to tell you right now, the same man you married 20 years ago is not the same man when he retires. He's not going to be the same person, right? And you've already seen that. I guarantee over the course of being married 19 years, you've already seen that, right? You've already seen that change in him, right?
Oh, 100%.
And people just don't understand. People just don't understand the struggles that we as service members face, and the spouses of service members and the children of service members. Because I can tell you right now, I guarantee your children, if you set them down and ask them, hey, what does dad do? They're going to give you a generalized thing that they think dad does, right? Now, if you dive really deep into what they're saying, they're going to have what they imagine dad does. And that plays a major role in how they develop as, young adults and stuff of that nature. So mental health is something that we all need to worry about. And I tell my kids all the time, hey, if you need anything from dad, just let me know.
Yeah.
And that's like my daughter and her breaks this weekend. Her boyfriend was here, and I was like, hey, are you going to help me? And he goes, oh, I don't know how to do it. And then my daughter looked at him, well, if you don't do it, my daddy will do it. I'm like, babe,
you should.
Right. And I will. I'll do anything for my kids. And they know, both my daughters and my wife, I'll do anything for any of the three of them. And that's just my mindset as who I am, as the provider, as the protector, as the prayer. I do all of that because that's what my brain tells me I need to do. And then you being the spouse, you have to be both mom and dad when your spouse is gone. So you have to be the provider, you have to be the protector, you have to be the prayer, and you have to stay strong. And I will tell you, you're probably stronger than your husband, and a lot of people don't realize that. So
I appreciate that. And speaking of our kids, they know what he does at an age appropriate level,
right?
Because obviously there are things that they don't need to know, or they can't know at this point. They are very proud of him, which I absolutely love.
They Googled it.
Actually, they don't have access. So
okay.
They don't. They do not. They do have phones, but they do not have access to social media, nor do they have access to the internet. So they know what we tell them, and we tell them, again, kid-friendly things to where they will understand it. But yes, it is it is definitely hard. Now, I never claim to be stronger than my husband because I don't think I could have ever walked away and gotten on a white bus and gotten on an airplane and left my pregnant spouse twice. I could not have done that. I could not have said goodbye to our 2-year-old son, knowing that there was a daughter on the way. Like there are things that he does that I could never have done. 100%. I have no problem admitting that. And I've told that to my husband many, many times. We cannot compare our two journeys because it's apples and oranges. They are vastly different. I will never know how he feels to be in the desert and being in a bomb shelter because S is going down. But he will also not know what it means to be here with a newborn and not know if my husband's going to call me the next day. So they are vastly different. And they also both deserve the utmost respect because both of us have hard jobs and we can only do them because we have each other. You know, that at least in my marriage, I can't do what I do without my husband because he is my safe space. You know, no matter what.
Equally strong.
Yeah.
You're equally strong in your own right. Like you have to be, like Bob says, you're the commander when he's not home, right?
100%.
You're the lieutenant colonel when he's not home, right? So you have to hold down the home fort, and he's holding down the fort that he's at, and you both have to be equally strong. I will tell you, my wife is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm a Marine, and I'm scared of her most days.
Good.
So I will tell you, it takes a strong woman, or I don't know too many male dependents. So it takes a strong woman to be married to a service member in general, and especially stay with said person for 20 plus years. Because it's hard. It's hard to do because the divorce rate in the military is astronomical, right? It's way up. And it's just like for you being lieutenant colonel's wife, getting deployed all over the world, and you never know where you're going until like I think they give you 6 months to be ready to move, if that.
I love that you say that. Absolutely not. Now, I will tell you this move, we knew where he was going because he came down on the command list. So 13 months prior, we knew where the destination was. However, we were scheduled to move in the first 2 weeks of June, and we got orders in April. So you can't schedule movers, you can't schedule packing, you can't do any of that stuff. We had to get the no-fee passport. Anyway, all the things. So you're supposed to, in a really good situation, you have your orders 6 months in advance. I don't know if that's maybe a Marine thing, but the Army is like, you have 30 minutes, ready to go. Like it's chaos. It's absolutely
your stuff will be packed and sent to you later.
Yes, it'll see you sometime. We don't know when.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. So when does your book come out?
Hopefully the end of 2026, at the latest, early 2027. I am waiting for the edits to be complete, which should be in the next month or so, hopefully, to reach out to publishers. So if anybody's a publisher out there and you want to throw some money at me, I will gladly take it. But it is an interesting journey. It's taken me a while to get here. I never knew how hard it was to write a book. So if anybody's thinking about it, it's not easy, but it's been a very rewarding thing for me because as I have decided to start sharing my thoughts, whether they be unhinged or whether they be sad or whatever online, like the amount of people that are like, oh my God, yes, thank you for saying that out loud. It's been so rewarding. So I'm really, really hoping that this book can be in the hands of all the military spouses that need it. And also soldiers, if you want to know the stuff that your spouse probably doesn't say to you, to your face, pick it up. Pick it up.
You can self-publish on Amazon.
You can. Yes. I'm working on a traditional publishing, hybrid publishing situation.
Just be very careful when it comes to some of the publishers out there because as you can see back here, this whole shelf, I don't know if you can see it all, but these are all veteran authors. There
Nice.
is one Gold Star spouse. I have her book as well. Her husband was the army guy that was killed in an ambush outside of Congo,
Mm.
and so she's Michelle Black. But so I've talked with several of these authors, and I'll get you in contact with Frank DeMith. He's just released his second book, and he's switched publishers to somebody who's better. So I'll get you connected with him via email.
I would love
That way you and him can chit chat about his publisher and everything and his journey, because he's got two books out. One's called A Vital Interest, and then the next one was Defending the Eagle. And he spent time in the Pentagon, so he's a high ranking guy as well. So I think it's somebody who we can get you in contact with.
Sure.
And then I can get you in Betsy Ross. This is a series that you probably would love to read. It's called Fight. It's the Fight series, and she's got a new book coming out called Down in Georgetown, which is like a love story kind of romance kind of book. But anyway, so Fight series is a great series. I highly recommend. So I'll get you in contact with both Frank and Betsy, and
Awesome.
then they can walk you through their journey and what they're doing to get their books published and stuff of that nature. Because that's what we do here at HomeFront SitRep. We love to make those connections, and I want to say thank you to Marie because she introduced me to you, and thank you for taking your time to come hang out with us here on HomeFront SitRep. This episode will be aired on Reese Across America Radio on Thursday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. So I'm excited for your story to go out to the millions of people, and then they can go get your book when it comes out. Website is www.allisonburton.com. That's ALL
.co.
or .co, not com.
There you go.
That's ALLISONBURTON.co. So go check out our website. It's also in the link here in the chat. So you can go to YouTube, Facebook, and find it there on HomeFront SitRep. So I want to say thank you. We are cutting time here because of Reese Across America says I got to keep it at a certain time limit. I feel like we only barely scratched the surface of you and everything that's been going on with you guys. So I want to say thank you for coming and hanging out with me for this hour and a little over an hour.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This was fun. Yes, if anybody needs to get a hold of me, my email is at the bottom of my website, as well as all of my social media links. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So yeah, I'm so grateful to be here and excited to see what comes of this. I appreciate the connections that you're willing to give, and
Yes, ma'am.
hopefully we'll chat.
Any author that I'm connected with, I'm going to link you with and say, hey, help this lady out, get her book published, because I think people need to see the other side of the apple. They see the uniform, but they don't see behind the uniform, and that's kind of why the title, The Strength Behind the Uniform. That's kind of why I went with that. So thank you again. I'm going to end the show here in just a second, but I'm going to do my outro stuff. And if you got to go to bed because you got to get up in the morning, I understand. If you want to hang out until I'm done and then we can chit chat afterwards, that's up to you. But I'm going to drop in the green room and I'm going to finish up the show.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gents, here, let me get a better view. Which one do I want? You know what? Let's just do this one, full screen. Go check out her website, www.allisonburton.co. Go check out her website. Go see everything that she's got going on. Amazing. Marie, thank you very much. If you don't know who Marie is, go follow Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran. Coffee Talk with Brian and Marie. Bob, thank you. Paul, thank you. Thank you for all the guys coming in and hanging out. I just want people to know, man, you can go. So we have 6 shirts out now on HomeFront SitRep. Let's see, I have it here. It should be up here. Oh yeah. So here's our shirts. We have our Marine It Down. We have the spicy pineapple. That's the front, and the back says toss and joy in people's life since 1918. We have our HomeFront SitRep shirt. We have our red shirt. Then we have our You're Not Alone, and then Be Someone's Stranger. So go to homefrontsitrep.com, click on merch, and you can go there. You can also see all of our hats as well. Um, ladies and gents, oops, hold on here. What the heck? Come on. What's this doing? There we go. You're not alone. Listen, don't let the dark days win. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You're not alone. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal, together we rise, and together we carry each other forward. We have to do it together. We can't do it individually. We have to do it together. And then be someone stranger. Listen, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger today. When you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if they give you the red flags, "I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living the dream." Ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-minute conversation, could be an 8-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that. And just listen. A lot of times we just need to get it off our chest. We just need you to listen to us. It takes a village, ladies and gents. We have this phone right here. We have our phones. We have emails. We have everything at our fingertips. Reach out to people. If you need help with anything, reach out. My phone's always open. Gunny's phone's always open. Allison's always open. Bob is always open. Any of the guys, Rich, LaMonica, Travis, any of us, reach out to us. We're always here. We're your village. I want to, thank Heroes Media Group. Adam Bird, man, he is phenomenal. Why is that ringing through? I love HMG and everything that they got. See, Bob says I'm always here. Heroes Media Group, man, I tell you, just go check them out. Adam's got an amazing platform, amazing veteran podcasters on his platform, and everything that he does for the veteran space. So go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Up next is reachacrossamerica.org/radio. As I mentioned, Homefront SitRep is live on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern on Reach Across America Radio. You can download the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the Odyssey app. Search the word Reese, and you can find Reach Across America Radio there. Up next is SameFlagSameOath.com. Like I said, they're the ones that did our shirts. Matt and Becky Johnson outside of Katy, Texas. They are phenomenal. The shirts are phenomenal. I love the feel of them. They're amazing. Up next is Elite Engraving 24, small veteran owned company here in Campbellsburg, Kentucky. They created our Homefront SitRep hat. So you can go and get, it's a Richardson 112, one of my favorite style of hats. So you can get that on eliteengraving24.com. Up next is Valor Coins and Pins. Brent and Brian Casey are the grandsons of Herschel Woody Williams, Medal of Honor recipient. God rest in peace. They run Valor Coins and Pins. So when you order a pin, kind of, this is a pin that, like a lapel pin or challenge coin. 10% of each one of those goes to the Herschel Woody Williams Foundation. So go check out Valor Coins and Pins if you want your own coin, like Gunny's coin here, or the Homefront SitRep coin up here somewhere. I can't point at it, but it's there, right there. So Homefront SitRep coin. Go check out Valor Coins and Pins. Up next is Darren Davis with RDCShoes.com. Marine Corps veteran, created a shoe company, and these shoes are phenomenal. They have the Patriot shoes, and they also right now they have the Folds of Honor shoes as well. So go check out rdcshoes.com and get your shoe. And then last but not least, check out HomeFrontSitRep.com. You can see all these great veteran authors, great business owners, veteran nonprofits. Tomorrow we have Gunny, a Marine Corps Gunny coming on. And you got to give her a hard way to go because she said former Marine Corps Gunny. So I'm going to definitely give her a hard way about that because there's no such thing as former Marine or ex-Marine. So I'm going to give her a hard way to go about that. So come back tomorrow at 7 p.m. and check out our podcast episode with Gunny. Other than that, keep everybody in your prayers. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, past and present, and the ones that are no longer here. And to be a father, you don't have to have kids of your own. I know a lot of great men out there that have picked up that mantle of father because children don't have the children that that became father of didn't have a father. So that includes them as well. So happy Father's Day. But like we always say on HomeFront SitRep, stay safe out there. We got your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.